कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा। कुंज बिहारी गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदना व्रजजानरंजना। यशोदनंदना व्रजजनरंजन। यशोदनंदना व्रजजनरंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय। श्री श्री पंच तत्व की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। It's English, right, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Perfect. Okay. So I welcome each and every one of you to this august presence of all the devotees. We are here to read Srimad Bhagavatam and specifically read Canto number 3, chapter number 2, verses 1 to 8 is what we are going to see today. The title of the chapter is Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Such a beautiful title of the chapter. But before we start, we would start with Mangalacharan, seeking auspicious blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas, from the preceptors, from the acharyas, and from the parampara, and going up to Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani herself. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं, यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. So today we will be reading from Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Bhagavatam we are learning chapter number 2, Canto number 3, which is named as the status quo. And in that we are going to read about the chapter Remembrance of Lord Krishna. We are starting with the first verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 3.2.1 Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Bhagavata Prishta Shatra Vartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum Nachotseha Autkanthyat Samariteshwaraha. Somebody can read the translation.
Shri Sukdev Goswami said, when the great devotee Uddhav was asked by Vidur to speak on the messages of the dearest Lord Krishna, Uddhav was unable to answer immediately due to excessive anxiety at the remembrance of the Lord. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you so much. So there is no purport to this translation. So we are entering a new chapter, and in that new chapter we are specifically learning about this aspect when Vidura is approaching the great devotee Uddhava. And in this chapter we are going to see the great qualities of Uddhava. In the first few verses, when we speak about it, Shukdev Goswami is going to showcase how Uddhava is as a personality, and he is starting to narrate. And it is very important for us to understand the symptoms of the pure devotee of the Lord. Now we are talking about Uddhava. Uddhava, who was none other than who had very, very close association with Krishna. Right from childhood to the old age, he was always with Krishna. He saw Krishna in Dwarka. He saw how Krishna appeared amongst the Dwarka Vasis. He was always a constant companion of Krishna. So much so that he used to look very much alike like Krishna. And that is why we will learn later in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, when Uddhava made his visit to Vrindavan, how the gopis initially thought Krishna has arrived. Because the way he used to dress, the way he used to put his turban, the way he used to dress his dhoti and his appearances, everything looked very, very similar to Krishna. So now Vidura has understood that Krishna has left the planet. Krishna has disappeared from this universe. The sun of the Yadu dynasty has set in the horizon, and this universe is now bereft of Krishna. And with this heavy heart, he is approaching Uddhava. Iti Bhagavata Prishta Shatra Vartam Priyashrayam. With the great devotee was asked by Vidura, when Vidura came before Uddhava, and he said, please talk to me about the messages of Krishna. Why this is being asked? Why Vidura is coming to Uddhava and asking about Krishna and Krishna's pastimes and the messages of Krishna? This is how we associate with Krishna. The best form of associating with Krishna is via chanting and hearing Krishna Katha, by regular attendance in Srimad Bhagavatam classes. When we constantly chant with our beads early in the morning, then Krishna is listening. How? Like I was speaking in a youth class just before this one. One of the person mentioned that we always expect our friends' DM to be open. DM means in social media language, direct message. In Instagram, if you want to message, they say DM me, direct message me. So you open that person's profile and you send a direct message. But Krishna's DM are always open in DM. What is DM? Daily Mangalarti. So during daily Mangalarti, Krishna's DMs are always open. Of course, Krishna's DM is ever open for his devotees. So direct messaging Krishna is daily Mangalarti chanting. So when we chant our rounds early in the morning, finish our rounds early in the morning in a very nice way, sitting slowly and chanting our rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, with full absorption, then Krishna reciprocates. We don't feel that Krishna is not with us. We feel that the protection, the warmth of Krishna is always around us. And Krishna is listening to the message. And another way is to listen to his pastimes, to listen to his glories. So when Vidura was feeling this separation and he was unable to bear the separation from Krishna, he wanted Uddhava, the most closest companion in the Dwarka, to speak about Krishna. And this is very nice, hearing Krishna Katha. Nectar which enters through the ears enters the heart, and it makes the bloom, the lotus within the heart. So this Krishna Katha, the message of Krishna, the messages of the dearest Lord, is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita as Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha. Ramanti means it is pleasurable to hear. It is very, very pleasurable to hear. In the Ramayana, one of the Kanda is called as Sundara Kanda. And it is called as Sundar Kand or Sundara Kanda because it is very sundar, it is very pleasing, it is very lovely, it is very nectarian. Sundare Sundaram Kavyam, Sundare Sundari Rama, Sundare Sundaram Sita, Sundare Sundaram Kapihi, Sundare Sundaram Hanuman, Sundare Kimna Sundaram. It is mentioned in the Sundara Kand that everything is Sundar, everything is wonderful in that Sundar Kand. Sundare Sundaram Kavyam, the poetry is wonderful. Sundare Sundaram Rama, Rama is wonderful, Sundara. Sundare Sundari Sita, Sita is so Sundari, she is so sweet and she is so wonderful and so beautiful. Sundare Sundari Kapi, the beautiful Hanuman, he jumped over the ocean, his narration, his jump is also beautiful. Sundare Kimna Sundaram. Tell me which part of Sundarakanda is not Sundara, because the messages are most pleasing. But Valmiki mentions that the Sundarakand is Sundar not because of these pastimes. Sundarakand is really Sundar because two great devotees of the Lord are coming together and speaking about the Lord. Mother Sita is one of the greatest servants of Krishna or Lord Ramchandra as Lakshmi. She always serves Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha, and she serves in Ayodhya and also in the material world as Mother Sita to Lord Ramchandra. So she is a great devotee. And another great servant devotee is Hanuman. And in all other kandas of Ramayana, you will find that there is mention about the Lord and the devotees, the Lord and the devotees, the Lord and the devotees. But it's only Sundar Kand where the devotees meet devotees. And when devotees meet devotee, when Hanuman meets Mother Sita, what are they going to talk about? They're not going to talk about the newest saree in town, or they're not going to talk about the new Netflix movie which has come out. They're going to talk about Lord Ramchandra, Lord Krishna. And that is the most pleasing Sundara. So when devotees meet, all they want to do is Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha. They just want to enjoy exchanging the messages of the Lord. And here now two great devotees are going to meet, Vidura and Uddhava. So the similar concept is being mentioned here. What are they trying to say? Please speak about Krishna. Vidura with tears in his eyes, he is approaching Uddhava and he is saying, please speak about Krishna. But when he makes this request, what is Uddhava's condition? That Shukdev Goswami is narrating to us. The speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, the one who is going to speak about the messages of Krishna, what is his condition? He was unable to answer immediately. Why? Was he choking? Was there a material problem? Was his cough and kapha and vata and pitta having a problem for him to speak? These are not material indications of illness. And Srila Prabhupada writes, due to excessive anxiety at the remembrance of the Lord. The minute somebody said Krishna to Uddhava, he immediately remembered his entire life, his companionship, his servile attitude, his master Krishna, and the way he lived, the way he smiled, the way he dressed, the way he spoke, the way he walked, the way he conducted himself with Uddhava. Everything completely came into his memory. He became immersed in that memory. And he got excessive anxiety, or in other words, we can call it as ecstatic symptoms. Uddhava developed all the ecstatic symptoms just by remembering Krishna. Just by remembering the Lord. So this we are talking about is a very high stage of Krishna consciousness, where Uddhava is able to remember the Lord and feel the ecstatic symptoms of Krishna consciousness, and due to which he was unable to speak. But Vidura's questions were there. Vidura's questions were going to be asked. So let us look at the next verse, what's going to happen. Yap panchahayano matra pratar ashaya yachitaha tan naichad rachayan yasya saparyam bala leelaya. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Can someone read?
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Translation. He was one who, even in his childhood, at the age of 5 years, was so absorbed in the service of Lord Krishna that when he was called by his mother for morning breakfast, he did not wish to have it. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. From his very birth, Uddhava was a natural devotee of Lord Krishna, or the Nitya Siddha, a liberated soul. From natural instinct, he used to serve Lord Krishna, even in his childhood. He used to play the dolls in the form of Krishna. He would serve the dolls by dressing, feeding, and worshipping them, and thus he was constantly absorbed in the play of transcendental realization. These are the signs of an eternal liberated soul. An eternal liberated soul is a devotee of the Lord who never forget him. Human life is meant for reviving one's eternal relation with the Lord, and all religious injunctions are meant for awakening this dormant instinct of the living entity. The sooner this awakening is brought about, the quicker the mission of human life is fulfilled. In a good family of devotees...
We'll pause here. Okay. So the first half, Srila Prabhupada mentions very wonderfully that how was Uddhava's childhood. He mentions that at the age of 5 years, right, like Prahlad Maharaj says, Kaumare taucharet prajna dharman bhagavataniha. Right from the age of 4, right up to 5 years, he was so absorbed in the service of Lord Krishna that his mother used to call him for breakfast and still he never used to go. He would say, no, I am more interested in this Archana. I am more interested in how to dress up Krishna, how to take care of Krishna. He was so interested in this worship. And Srila Prabhupada writes that he was right now Nitya Siddha, a liberated soul. He was a natural devotee. Nitya Siddha means that one who is already liberated, but he is living in this material world. It's almost like he's living dual lives. When he closes his eyes and he meditates, he is there in the spiritual world. He's already liberated, but he mingles amongst the common masses just to give them Krishna consciousness. So Uddhava was such a great soul that right from his young age, he used to play with dolls. He never used to go for a Barbie or a G.I. Joe or any of those. He used to just love Krishna's dolls. And he would dress them, he would feed them, he would worship them. Children like dolls. Children like to play. My Guru Maharaj used to say that between the girls and the young boys, there is a trend that you see. That the girls, when they are young, when they are small, they like sugar and spice, everything nice. They absolutely like this. Everything should be sugar, spice, everything should be nice. And how are the boys? Dirty mud and puppy dog tails. They will run behind the dog. They would dirty themselves. Whether the girls are like, everything nice, sugar and spice. So these are nature, right, where they would like to indulge in playing. And Uddhav used to play in this way with the help of dolls. And he used to worship. And slowly, this was his sadhana while he was playing. While he was playing, he was rendering service unto Krishna. And these are the signs of an eternally liberated soul. So nowadays people ask, Prabhuji, so and so child is a prodigy child, so and so is so and so. Is he really divine? We should see the signs. Prabhupada writes in this simple statement, these are the signs of an eternally liberated soul. What is the sign? He was constantly absorbed in the play of transcendental realization. One who is constantly absorbed in transcendence, that's the sign of a liberated soul. So we should note these down, saying that if you want to know who is the liberated soul, number one, he is constantly absorbed in the play of transcendental realization. This is Prabhupada's words. And number two, what is the second quality? He never forgets the Lord. Or in other words, the two brilliant rules that we always read about, always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So these are the two things that Srila Prabhupada mentions is a sign of a liberated soul. And sometimes these personalities, they take birth in the modern family. And sometimes they get this birth in a modern family. And how they revive their sense good consciousness is sometimes seen in the modern world. So can somebody read from here to the end of the purport here?
I can continue.
Yes.
In a good family of devotees, the child gets the opportunity to serve the Lord in many ways. A soul who is already advanced in devotional service has the opportunity to take birth in such an enlightened family. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 6.41. Sukhininam Srimatham Gi Yoga Brasto Bhajate. Even the fallen devotee gets the opportunity to take his birth in the family of a well-suited Brahmana, or in a rich, well-to-do mercantile family. In both these families, there is a good opportunity to revive one's senses of God consciousness automatically, because particularly in these families, the worship of the Lord Krishna is regularly performed, and the child gets the opportunity to imitate the process of worship called Archana.
Thank you. So here we see a soul who is already, so Prabhupada mentions that sometimes even devotees fall down, but Krishna does not neglect them. Krishna ensures that they even get an opportunity in the next life in a very rich or a mercantile family so that they can continue their Krishna consciousness. But what is required? That worship. Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that how much is deity worship important in each and every household. That when in these families there is good opportunity by doing this deity worship, always centering our Krishna, our worlds around Krishna, keeping the altar right in the middle of the house, understanding that he is the most eldest in the house. Every decision of ours is not taken without him. Every festival and every holiday is not spent without the deities along with us. So in this way, when we center our life around Krishna, then the children born in that family, even though they might have been fallen down from the previous birth, they still keep Krishna in their center, and they automatically get the opportunity to imitate the process of worship called Archana. So Uddhava's playing with the dolls is considered, might be a play for a child, but Krishna takes it very, very seriously. And Krishna awards him such constant companionship. Please continue, Prabhu.
The Panchakrati formula for training persons in devotional service is temple worship, whereby the neophytes get the opportunity to learn devotional service to the Lord. Maharaja Parikshit also used to play with Krishna dolls in his childhood. In India, the children in good families are still given dolls of the Lord like Rama and Krishna, or sometimes the demigods, so that they may develop the aptitude of service to the Lord. By the grace of Lord, we were given the same opportunity by our parents, and the beginning of our life was based on this principle. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada is so humble in this purport that only the last line he gives information about himself. A devotee is one, a pure devotee is one who never speaks about himself right at the first. So if you look at this purport itself is a classic example of Srila Prabhupada's humility. First he is glorifying Uddhava, then he glorifies about the family of devotees, and he glorifies all others who are giving opportunity to the fallen. And he mentions glorification to the process by which even the neophytes can get attached to Krishna consciousness. And at last he says this is a common culture in India, that the children are given the dolls of Lord Rama and Krishna, and sometimes even demigods like Ganesha, Durga and many others, Saraswati, etc., so that they develop the aptitude of service to the Lord. So there is a great culture here which we have forgotten, and hence if we are invited for any children's birthday party, we should go and find out dolls of Krishna consciousness and give that to the children. They want to play, and slowly they will develop aptitude, and we are developing their Krishna consciousness. But at the end, Srila Prabhupada signs it off saying that by the grace of the Lord, we, that means Srila Prabhupada, his sister and everybody, we were given the same opportunity by our parents, Gaur Mohan De. And at the beginning of our life was based on this principle. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that I was also like this. Of course he was worshipping his deities. And he used to see his father worship every day. And he remembers those childhood moments while he's writing this purport. And hence such words, when it comes across amidst the beautiful purports of Srila Prabhupada, a little bit glance about the author himself and a little bit glance into Srila Prabhupada's lives. Uddhava's example might be very far for us. We have not seen him. He's 5,000 years ago. But Srila Prabhupada is so close to us. He's exhibiting the same kind of worship. He's exhibiting the same kind of pastimes by worshipping the deities of Sri Radha and Krishna, which his father gave to him. So that's why he writes here, by the grace of the Lord, we were given the same opportunity by our parents, and the beginning of our life was based on this principle, that is to develop the aptitude of service to the Lord. So Uddhava was unable to speak, and here there is a background given by Shukdev Goswami that how he was completely absorbed in the service of Lord Krishna, that he used to even skip breakfast. But then this was his childhood. How is he now? We are not talking about his childhood now. So how is he now? Sakatam sevaya tasya kalena jarasam gataha prishto vartam pratibhruyat bhartupadav anusmaran. Translation, please read.
Hare Krishna. Uddhava thus served the Lord continually from childhood, and in his old age, that attitude of service never slackened. As soon as he was asked about the message of the Lord, he at once remembered all about him.
Purport.
Transcendental service to the Lord is not mundane. The service attitude of the devotee gradually increases and never becomes slackened. Generally, in old age, a person is allowed retirement from mundane service. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, no retirement at all. On the contrary, the service attitude increases more and more with the progress of age. In the transcendental, no satiation, and therefore there is no retirement. Materially, when a man becomes tired by rendering service in his physical body, he is allowed retirement. But in the transcendental service, there is no feeling of fatigue because it is spiritual service and is not on the bodily plane. Service on the bodily plane dwindles as the body grows older, but the spirit is never old. And therefore, on the spiritual plane, the service is never tiresome.
Pause. So this is very nice. So this Srila Prabhupada mentions here that while in childhood he used to miss breakfast and he used to constantly engage, and the Uddhava used to engage in the worship of the Lord, but this was not the spirit that when he reached his youth he left that service. No, as he grew older and older, this service intensified. And this shows progress. This shows progress in Krishna consciousness. And this is a great learning science for us, that when we come to Krishna consciousness, we are very enthusiastic to perform services. But as our body grows older, our dances in front of the deities reduces, or we fear ankle twists and leg pains, and we dance very less. Whereas in the youth, we used to dance, jump up and touch the ceiling and touch the sky while we used to chant and dance. So physically we might get older, but the spirit should never get older. And Uddhava was like that. He used to never get retired. So in material service and spiritual service, Srila Prabhupada makes a comparison here of material and spiritual service. So can we cite some examples of great devotees who in their old age did great service for Krishna? Can we take examples from Bhagavatam and the scriptures? Can suggest some names of devotees who were old, but they rendered perfect service to Krishna?
Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada, easy example, very good. Who else?
Gadadhar Pandit.
Gadadhar Pandit, okay. Who else?
Oh, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami.
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, okay. More examples from Chaitanya Leela, very nice. More old from Bhagavatam, from Ramayana.
Jambavant also was there.
Jambavan, perfect example. Old age, rendered service unto Krishna and to Lord Ramchandra. Jatayu.
Jatayu.
Yeah, Jatayu. Who else? One more personality.
Jamil will come.
Sorry.
Ajamil.
Ajamil in his old age. Khatvanga in his old age. Dhritarashtra in his old age. He tried to serve by self-immolating in fire. When Vidura goes back, we'll see. So all these, but pure devotees, Khatvanga, Jatayu, and then there was one devotee called as Shabari in Ramayana, where Matanga Rishi told her that you stay here, execute service, Ramchandra will come one day. Now, as per her age, she should have retired, but she was still sweeping the floor every single day. Can you imagine? Matanga Rishi had left the ashram and she used to sweep every single day, hoping that today Ramchandra Lakshman will come and she has to give the bear. Every day she will go out and see that in the morning the flowers are blooming nicely. She will trim the flowers, she will make the pathways so that the pathway that Ramchandra walks is full of flowers. And he is feeling happy when he walks in. First day she did it, he did not arrive. Second day she did it, he did not arrive. If it was us, we would have retired, we would have given up saying that our Guru Maharaj said so, but every day I am doing this. No, not a single day he is appearing. There was no WhatsApp back in those days that one person says, I will come on this day, this time. So she was waiting every single day. And her activities are so wonderfully mentioned by Valmiki, that in the early morning she will clean the pathways every single day with the hope that Ramchandra will come today and Lakshmana will come today. And every day she will check the bear or the fruits from the tree and she will taste them. And she will see if this branch of these fruits are sweet or not sweet. This is the jhute bear that we talk about. It's not that she bit one and gave to Lord Ram. Valmiki doesn't say so. Valmiki says she used to taste and she used to know that this branch of bear used to be very, very sweet. These berries are very sweet. And she used to pluck each and every one of them and keep it in a basket. But by the evening, the flowers will fall down. And sometimes the next day, those new flowers will not come. So she used to pick up those flowers and stitch it to the branch so that the flowers are still blooming when Lord Rama arrives. Imagine doing this for years and decades, every single day, not leaving it. Because that day could be the day when Lord Rama arrives. So there is absolutely no retirement in this service. If somebody believes that we will retire to Mayapur, we will retire to Vrindavan and we will take bodily rest, Srila Prabhupada says no. In spirit never gets old, and hence on the spiritual plane the service is never tiresome. So Srila Prabhupada exhibited this very beautifully. Shabari exhibited this very beautifully, that every day that she used to take care of her surroundings, sweep the floor, ensure that Rama is arriving, and she can give all these fruits. And when Rama arrived, he was so happy. He was not enjoying the taste of the fruit, he was enjoying the taste of the real fruit which is in the heart, which is of devotion. And that is what Krishna wants. Krishna doesn't want our fruits, Krishna wants the fruits of our labor. Krishna doesn't want the most costliest fruit, Krishna wants the most costliest emotion which is in our heart, which is devotion for bringing those fruits to Krishna. Krishna doesn't want the sweetness of the fruit, but he wants the saltiness of our tears with which we offer to Krishna. This is the currency that Krishna wants. Krishna is not looking at how many berries are there in the basket. Krishna is looking at how many worries that Shabari has taken to get that basket of fruits. The real currencies are not the goods. The real currencies are bhaktya mamapi janati, the bhakti in the heart. And Uddhava was full of such bhakti. And Uddhava developed this right from his young age, and he never lost it. And Shukdev Goswami saying is that his attitude of service never slackened. It's not that we are getting old, okay, fine, 2 Mangalartis I can miss in a day. Or today is Saturday, I can miss a Mangalarti. No. As we grow older, our attitude needs to become more and more stronger. If not, there is a mistake. We should rectify quickly. Because our attitude to serve should be exponential. And we might be getting old, that is okay. We should look out for more services. We should plan ahead. We should know next 30 years before I bow down from this planet Earth, what all services I have to achieve. And then we should have a diary. We should move into the next page and say, in the next lifetime, if I am taking, what all services I should continue. You should meditate on that as well. What if we are not going back home, back to Godhead? At least we should have our plan for next life, what we want to do. If we have a plan for next life, then we will get that life of service. The way we leave our body, we get the next life. So if we leave our body thinking about Krishna, we get an opportunity to serve Krishna. So in this way, we learn from this purport that how in the old age also our service attitude should be constantly increasing. So here, while childhood is mentioned, Uddhava's old age is also mentioned. Can somebody read?
Sure. Uddhava undoubtedly become old, but that does not mean that his spirit become old. His service attitude matured on the transcendental plane, and therefore, as soon as he was questioned by Vidura about Lord Krishna, he at once remembered his Lord by reference to the context and forgot himself on the physical plane. That is a sign of pure devotional service to the Lord. As will be explained later on, Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya, etc., in Lord Kapila's instructions to his mother Devahuti. Jai Shri Ram.
This is very wonderfully mentioned here, that how Uddhava was when Vidura asked the question. We can get a glimpse into how a Nitya Siddha, a liberated personality, is. When immediately Vidura asked this question to Uddhava, he immediately remembered about the Lord and he forgot his physical plane. That means he forgot he's standing in front of Vidura. He just remembered about Krishna and he got transported completely into the consciousness plane of Golok Vrindavan or Dwarka. In fact, Dwarka. He got transported himself to Dwarka and he was not imagining, he was realizing, he was revisiting, he was rekindling his memories in Dwarka and he was physically present there. His body was here, but his consciousness and his presence was there in Dwarka. And this is Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya. By Bhakti Yogis, when they completely mature in their spiritual plane, they will be able to execute such kind of transportation. EC Journey to Other Planets was one of the books which had these mysteries, written by Srila Prabhupada, one of the first books. And here he is going to speak more about it. Sahamurtam adbhut tushnim krishnangri suddhayabhrisham tivrena bhakti yogena nimagna sadhu nirvritaha. Translation. Can someone read?
For a
Correct.
moment,
Yeah, Sushil Prabhu,
for a
go ahead.
moment, he remained dead silent, and his body did not move. He became absorbed in the nectar of remembering the Lord's lotus feet in devotional ecstasy, and he appeared to be going increasingly deeper into the ecstasy. On the inquiry by Vidur about Krishna, Uddhav appeared to be awakened from slumber. He appeared to regret that he had forgotten the lotus feet of the Lord. He again remembered the lotus feet of the Lord and remembered all his transcendental loving service unto him. And by so doing, he felt the same ecstasy that he used to feel in the presence of the Lord. Lord, because in the presence of the Lord. Because the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his remembrance and his personal presence. Thus, Uddhav remained completely silent for a moment, and but then he appeared to be going deeper and deeper into ecstasy. Feeling of ecstasy are displayed by highly advanced devotees of the Lord. There are 8 kinds of transcendental changes in the body: tears, shivering of the body, perspiration, restlessness, throbbing, choking of the throat, etc., and all were manifested by Uddhav in the presence of Vidur. Hare Krishna.
So here, Srila Prabhupada mentions, in fact, Shukdev Goswami mentions how it was. The previous mention, first verse mentions he is a great devotee. He was unable to speak. The second verse mentions right from childhood he used to be devoted to the Lord. He used to miss his breakfast as well. The third mentions not only in his childhood, even in his old age, his attitude of service was much great. Fourth, he mentioned that he was completely remembering Krishna and he was always engaged in his service. And the fifth one, here it mentions about how was his activity, how he connected to the Dwarka's part of the world. He remained dead silent. There was no speech. And he did not move his body. He was completely in trance. And what was the trance he was in? He was not hearing anything. He was completely immersed in the lotus feet of Krishna in devotional ecstasy. And it kept on growing for him, increasingly deeper into that ecstasy. And this is what is very important for us to know, that what happens to a devotee who is completely surrendered unto Krishna. And when he is performing this activity of remembering Krishna continuously. So here we see that Vidura is inquiring about Krishna. Vidura is inquiring about Krishna and how Uddhava appeared as if he was awakening from his slumber. He was coming out of his slumber. So here it is very nicely mentioned that how Uddhav was thinking about the lotus feet of the Lord. And everybody knows the nectar that is there as Bhavat Potam, as in the lotus feet of the Lord. It is there. It is absolutely wonderful. The lotus feet of the Lord is known as the transcendental boat which carries us from the material world to the spiritual world. So he was constantly thinking about this lotus feet. And while thinking about the lotus feet, he was completely immersed in devotional ecstasy. And he appeared to be going deeper and deeper and deeper in that emotional ecstasy. He always used to feel that the Lord is there. He is absolute. He is present everywhere. And sometimes he used to fall silent. Sometimes he used to show the Ashtavikar, tears, shivering of the body, perspiration, restlessness, throbbing, choking of the throat. All of this was manifested by Uddhav. And he showed all these 8 kinds of changes, and this is how he was deeply immersed. We remember Srila Prabhupada's pastime in this case. Once Srila Prabhupada was giving a Bhagavatam class. And after giving a Bhagavatam class, speaking about the Lord's personal attributes, Srila Prabhupada completely closed his eyes. And tears started falling through his eyes. He was shivering. One could see all these 8 different kinds of ecstasy. And Shrutakirti Prabhu writes that the entire Bhagavatam class participants and the devotees were completely silent. They were just watching Srila Prabhupada, silent, not moving a bodily limb, completely absorbed. He was not in this world. He was completely exhibiting the beautiful aspects of ecstasy in the spiritual world. And nobody knew what to do to get their spiritual master out of the trance. But nobody wanted to get Srila Prabhupada out of the trance. And Srila Prabhupada was constantly meditating and he did not move. Everything came to a standstill. People were silent. Brahmananda Prabhu, who was a sannyasi at that time, he loudly said, Jai Srila Prabhupada, and chanted the mantras which brought Srila Prabhupada outwardly in consciousness. And then people started criticizing Brahmananda Prabhu. He said, why would you do that? Why would you actually call out Srila Prabhupada and break him from his ecstatic symptoms? We were watching a pure devotee at work. We were watching a master at work, how he is immersed in Krishna consciousness. This is new for us. He was completely absorbed. And Brahmananda Prabhu said, what should I do? I should glorify my spiritual master. So that is why I called out his name. So Srila Prabhupada heard about this commotion and he bought. And Brahmananda Prabhu went himself to Srila Prabhupada's cabin and asked, was it right that I actually called out your name and I broke your trance and I broke your experience? And Srila Prabhupada mentioned that no, don't worry about it. And Srila Prabhupada, in his most humility and in his humble presence, he said, I don't do this often. Can you imagine? Those words have a lot of merit into a glimpse of who Srila Prabhupada was. He said, I don't do this often, which means that he does sometimes often, but it is not for public eye. What he meant was this happens very normally, but not in front of the public eye. So there is so much said in those words, I don't do this generally, or he says, I don't do this often. This is what Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Srutakirti Prabhu writes. So similarly, when Vidura asked this question, he came back to the material plane. When I say material plane, in amidst the mortal world where he's standing and he's shedding tears and he wanted to speak next. Pulakod bhinna sarvango munchan mila drishashucha purnartho lakshitastena sneha prasara samplutaha. Translation?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. It was so observed by Vidura that Uddhava had all the transcendental bodies changes due to the total ecstasy, and he was trying to wipe away tears of separation from his eyes. Thus, Vidura could understand that Uddhava had completely assimilated extensive love for the Lord. Hare Krishna. Shall I read the purport, Prabhuji?
Yes.
The symptom of the highest order of devotional life were observed by Vidura, an experienced devotee of the Lord, and he confirmed Uddhava's perfectional stage of love of Godhead. Ecstatic bodily changes are manifested from the spiritual plane and are not artificial expression developed by practice. There are three different stages of development in devotional service. The first stage is that of following the regulative principle prescribed in the codes of devotional service. The second stage is that of assimilation and realization of the steady condition of the devotional service. And the last stage is that of ecstasy symptomized by transcendental bodily expression. The nine different...
Pause. So here the most important purport is being mentioned here. So the symptoms of the highest order of devotional life were observed by Vidura. So Vidura saw that the highest or rasa, that is the Vipralamba, feeling separation from the Lord, was actually witnessed by Vidura. And what he could see, these Ashtavikar, he could see all the 8 different transformations in total ecstasy by Uddhava. And what was he wiping away were tears of separation. It's condensed form of love which is flowing as nectar through his eyes, which are tears. He was trying to wipe them off. And by understanding those tears and those 8 different symptoms that he was having, he could understand that Uddhava was not a common personality. And he has assimilated the entire love of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada here writes in a very beautiful summary of whatever we have learned till now. Prabhupada mentions here that the first stage is that of regulative principles prescribed in the codes of devotional service. That means good sadhana. and regulative principles that we should follow. Commit no offenses unto the feet of the devotees. Practice our sadhana very nicely. And where do we see this? The first verse and the second verse. The second verse mentioned how Uddhava performed his daily devotional worship very nicely. Right from childhood, he used to do his sadhana of Archana very nicely. Prescribed deity worship he used to do right with the dolls very nicely. That means the first stage of regulative principle Uddhava had followed, which is of Archana, which Srila Prabhupada mentions in the previous purport. The second stage is that of assimilation of realization of steady condition. That means having realizations, assimilation. And this we mentioned in the purport above, where Uddhava started meditating upon the lotus feet of the Lord. So this means that Uddhava has crossed stage 1, has crossed stage 2. And the last stage is when you get ecstasy, and that is what we are seeing right now. So Srila Prabhupada is looking at the verses and writing it in such a way to say that if we want to, as a practicing sadhaka, if we want to reach this stage, then these are the 3 stages which we should cross. Kadam Kanan Maharaj gave a very beautiful example. When some devotees said that in Kirtan they feel like crying and they feel this rasa, they feel this transcendental bliss, Kadam Kanan Maharaj asked a very simple question. When you take your beads and chant your 16 rounds, do you feel the same pleasure? If not, then we have not reached there. When there is no difference between chanting and also performing ecstatic systems in Sankirtan, when we take the name of the Lord and we feel those hard and soft realization of assimilation of the heart and condensing, and the love grows fonder, when we feel that, that is when we have crossed the second stage. So for many of us, or for me, we are in the first stage, following the regulative principles, doing anartha nivritti and prescribed as per the codes of devotional service. And the second stage is when we realize the condition of our devotional service, and the last stage is ecstasy. Can somebody keep reading? Very nice purport, this one.
Yes, Prabhuji. The 9 different modes of devotional service, such as hearing, chanting, and remembering, are the beginning of the process. By regular hearing of the glories and pastimes of the Lord, the impurities in the student's heart begin to wash off. The more one is cleansed of impurities, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. Gradually, the activities take the form of steadiness, firm faith, taste, realization, and assimilation, one after another. These different stages of gradual development increase love of God to the highest stage. And in the highest stage, there are still more symptoms such as affection, anger, and attachment, gradually rising in exceptional case to the Mahabhava stage, which is generally not possible for the living entities. All these were manifested by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the personification of love of God. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, the chief disciple of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these transcendental symptoms displayed by pure devotees like Uddhava are systematically described. We have written a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu entitled The Nectar of Devotion, and one may consult this book for more detailed information on the science of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
So Srila Prabhupada is further elucidating about the tears of separation from his eyes, or about the love of Godhead, or about the Bhava and the Mahabhava stage which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had exhibited. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that just like Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, if we read that book, Nectar of Devotion, we get clear indication of the different stages of bhakti, up to Ruchi and Prema, Bhava, Ruchi, Prema, all these different stages we get to know. How Anartha Nivritti leads to Sadhu Sangha and many others. So this is very clearly mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Srila Prabhupada is indicating us to have a read, so that we can take it as a homework and let us read all of those. But here the story continues, where what is that he did? What is Uddhava now going to do? He is completely wiping his tears. Did he come back? Did he speak to Vidura? Shanakair Bhagava Loka Nrilokam Punaragataha. Nrilokam Punaragataha. Nrilokam means where the humans live. He came back. Punar means he came back. He came and Prabhupada had a book coming back, right? So, but in this context, he's coming from the spiritual world to the material world. Vimrajaya netre viduram prityahodhava otsmayan. So, the great devotee Uddhava soon came back from the abode of the Lord to the human plane, and wiping his eyes, he awakened his reminiscence of the past and spoke to Uddhava in a pleasing mood. So we'll read a very specific part of this purport because the purport is quite long. Yes. Can one read from here? Or from here? Yes. Yes, from here.
Hare Krishna. The living entities all over the universes are enjoying the effects of the respective fruitive results of their own work, life after life. Out of all of them, some may be influenced by the association of pure devotees and thus get the chance to execute devotional service by attainment of taste. This taste is the seed of devotional service, and one who is fortunate enough to have received such a seed of advised to sow it in the core of his heart. As one cultivates a seed by pouring water to fructify it, the seed of devotional service sown in the heart of the devotee may be cultured by pouring water in the form of hearing and chanting of the holy name and pastimes of the Lord. The creeper of devotional service so nourished gradually grows, and the devotee, acting as a gardener, goes on pouring the water of constant hearing and chanting. The creeper of devotional service gradually grows so high that it passes through the entire material universe and enters into the spiritual sky, growing still higher and higher until it reaches the planet of Goloka Vrindavana. The devotee gardener is in touch with the abode of the Lord even from the material plane by dint of performing devotional service to the Lord simply by hearing and chanting. As a creeper takes shelter of another stronger tree, similarly the creeper of devotional service nourished by the devotee takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and thus becomes fixed. When the creeper is fixed, then the fruit of the creeper comes into existence, and the gardener who nourished it is able to enjoy its fruit of love, and his life becomes successful. That Uddhava attained this stage is evident from his dealings. He could simultaneously reach the supreme planet and still appear in this world. Jai
So
Shri.
if somebody asks, how could you be Nityasiddha? This is the way. Srila Prabhupada does not speak only about concepts. He gives us clear understanding with the help of this analogy. Let's look at this analogy. This analogy is so wonderful. And this is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita as an instruction to Rupa Goswami by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, every single living entity is across the universe is enjoying fruitive results of their own work life after life. They are eating the fruits of their labor. But some of them come across pure devotees, and when they meet a guru, this guru gives Bhakti Lata Bij. This seed is put in the heart of such a devotee. And how do you cultivate this seed? By pouring water. What is water here? It is chanting. It is also kirtan and good association of devotees. So when in the chanting of the holy name and hearing the pastimes of the Lord, through which we water this seed, slowly a sprout Bhakti Lata comes out. Lata means creeper. And this creeper is called as Bhakti Lata, which is called the creeper of devotional service. It slowly tries to grow, but you have to continue pouring water and give minerals to it, give fertilizers to it. And what is that? It is called as association of devotees. You have to create a fence so that other animals don't come and eat away these leaves. Lust, greed, anger, pride, these animals don't come and eat away this creeper. So you need to keep a small fence, and that fence is the association of devotees. If you go off this fence, you commit offense. So you should be very careful in being within the fence of the devotees. And you should, within the fence of the devotees, you should continue pouring water and minerals, which is chanting of the holy names and hearing the pastimes of the Lord. So the gardener, that means an individual, has to take care, and he has to constantly hear and chant. And when this creeper starts to grow, one day it will grow so tall that it will break this material coverings and enter the spiritual sky of Golok Vrindavan, and it will strongly wrap itself unto the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. because a creeper cannot grow alone. It needs a host. It needs a tree. And the minute it catches on to the tree, the ultimate shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, the creeper will blossom a flower. And from the flower you will get the fruit. And that fruit is none other than the love of Godhead. And that love of Godhead, when this gardener plucks and eats it, his eyes will be full of tears of separation from Krishna. And those are the tears of separation Srila Prabhupada mentions here that Uddhava is having. And now, with those tears of separation, Uddhava is going to speak. Uddhav vacha Krishnadyumni nim loche girneshva ajjagarenaha kimnuna kushalam bruyam gata srishu griheshvaham. Translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Sri Uddhav said, "My dear Rudra, the son of the world, Lord Krishna has set, and our house has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I say to you about our welfare?" Purport also should I read?
Yes, Mataji. Very beautiful purport.
The disappearance of the Krishna's son may be explained as follows. According to the commentary of Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Vidura was struck with great sorrow when he got the hint of annihilation of the great Yadu dynasty as well as his own family, the Kuru dynasty. Uddhava could understand the grief of Vidura, and therefore he first of all wanted to sympathize with him by saying that after the sunset, everyone is in darkness. Since the entire world was merged in the darkness of grief, neither Vidura nor Uddhav nor anyone else could be happy. Uddhav was as much aggrieved as Vidura, and there was nothing further to be said about their welfare. The comparison of Krishna to the sun is very appropriate. As soon as the sun sets, darkness automatically appears. But the darkness experienced by the common man does not affect the sun itself, either at the time of sunrise or of sunset. Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are exactly like that of the sun. He appears and disappears in innumerable universes, and as long as he is present in a particular universe, there is all transcendental light in that universe. But the universe from which he passes away is put into darkness. His pastimes, however, are everlasting. The Lord is always present in some universe, just as the sun is present in either the eastern or the western hemisphere. The sun is always present either in India or in America. But when the sun is present in India, the American land is in darkness. And when the sun is present in America, the Indian hemisphere is in darkness. As the sun appears in the morning and gradually rises to the meridian and then again sets in one hemisphere while simultaneously rising in the other. So Lord Krishna's disappearance is one universe and the beginning of his different pastimes in another take place simultaneously. As soon as one pastime is finished here, it is manifested in another universe. And thus, his Nitya Leela, or eternal pastimes, are going on without ending. As the sun rises takes place once in 24 hours, similarly, the pastimes of Lord Krishna take place in a universe once in a daytime of Brahma, the account of which is given in the Bhagavad Gita as 43, how many years, Prabhuji? 43 lakh.
Yeah, more than 43 million.
Solar years. But wherever the Lord is present, all his different pastimes as described in the revealed scriptures take place at regular intervals. As at sunset, the snake becomes powerful, thieves are encouraged, ghosts become active, the lotus becomes disfigured, and the Chakvaki laments. So with the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the atheists feel enlivened and the devotees become sorry. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So Srila Prabhupada's one of the most beautiful purports and a very, very deep secret. Of course, we will churn this next time as well as we continue. This is the last verse that we will take today, though we were supposed to go up to verse 8, but then this will take some time to churn the nectar out of this one. So here, when Uddhava is first saying, he's saying the sun has set. And when he says the sun has set, he's not saying it metaphorically. He's saying that Krishna was the sun amongst the Yadavas. He was the greatest Yadava in the Yadu dynasty. And now that sun has sun has set. And once the sun sets, there is darkness everywhere. What is the darkness? For the devotees, the darkness is the grief of separation. That Krishna is not there. But Srila Prabhupada mentions here very beautifully that the illumination when the sun has set is through his pastimes. His pastimes are always eternal. Even though Krishna's physical presence is not there in this universe, his pastimes are still making us feel his presence. Because Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes are non-different. And then Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain the most beautiful purport of the verse which is very famous in Bhagavad Gita. And what is that? Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, Janma karma cha me divyam. We all focus on the first part of the verse. Janma and karma of Krishna are divyam, they are divine in nature. But the second part of the sloka is even more important for us to understand. Evam yoveti tattvataha. The word tattvataha means one has to understand this as a tattva. And that is what Srila Prabhupada mentions here. That once the sun is set in this part of the universe does not mean that the sun is set for eternally. The sun is rising somewhere else. So that means when the pastime is over here, the pastime is starting somewhere else. So right now he is Vasudeva Krishna appearing in 400 form before Devaki, and he has lost his two hands and he is traveling to Vrindavan. If that is set somewhere else, there is a new pastime beginning where he is again taking birth as the son of Devaki. So while he is lifting Govardhan and becoming Govardhanadhari, simultaneously in some part of the world, in some part of the universe, he is doing the Kaliya Daman and he is becoming Kaliya Dhamana. And some part of the world he is doing Ras Leela and he is known as the Gopijana Vallabha. So these pastimes are eternally happening in one universe or the other. Just like the sun might rise here and hence it is not observant in America. But when the sun rises in America, it is not observant in India. So in this way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Krishna Samhita chapter number 7, he mentions that it is not even necessary that Krishna has to appear in different universes. In the devotees' hearts, he can appear. So while Sumati Mataji or Subal Prabhu might be thinking about Krishna lifting Govardhan, in K.S. Rao Prabhu's heart, Krishna might be stealing the butter. And while K.S. Rao Prabhu's heart, Krishna is stealing the butter, in Sumati Mataji's heart, Krishna is doing the Ras Leela. So in this way, between one devotee and the next devotee's heart, Krishna is constantly playing his pastimes. And hence this is known as Divyam. Janma karma cha me Divyam. This is divine. Krishna's sun never sets. It appears to us that it has set. So hence Uddhava is understanding that Krishna's sun has set in this universe. And now it has been swallowed by the great snake of time. But what can I say to you about our welfare? But internally he is remembering all these pastimes. He knows this very nicely. Tattvataha. So if Krishna is called as Devaki Nandan, at that time also you can call him as Giridhari when he appears before Devaki. Why? Prabhuji, he has not performed the lifting Govardhan pastime when he appears before Devaki. But no, you can call him so because some part of the universe he is lifting Govardhan now. You can also, while he is lifting Govardhan, you can also call him as Damodar. That is the normal because it happened one day before. It's fine. No. Also, you can call him as Kamsa Nisudana because he's going to kill Kamsa somewhere. He's doing that. Simultaneously, Krishna is the only person which is not affected by time. He's transcending time. But here Uddhava is saying, we are swallowed by the great snake of time, not Krishna. We are swallowed by the happenings on this world and hence we are not able to see Krishna. But let me be very, very clear. Krishna is not affected by time. He is beyond time. So that Srila Prabhupada mentions here very nicely, this grief has affected us. But this is not applicable to Krishna. So Krishna continues his Nitya Leela, his eternal pastimes. And that is Divyam. So one who understands this tattva, this purport, what does Krishna say? He will come back to me. Arjuna, I promise, he will come back to me, to my abode. So, my dear devotees, this is the great tattva spoken by Srila Prabhupada, explained to us in a very, very nice way in this purport. So, while we plan to understand this purport in full and go back to Krishna, but first for that we should come back next class to continue these beautiful pearls of wisdom of Uddhava. So, with that, we'll come to an end here. We're supposed to take the next verse also, but we are almost on time. So, we'll do justice to the next verse by taking it next time. So, by reading this purport, we go back home, back to Godhead. But by understanding this purports, we come back next class and we'll try to learn from Srila Prabhupada more and more such nectarian pastimes which Uddhava is going to mention it to Vidura. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vidura Uddhava Samvad ki jai. Remembrance of Lord Krishna chapter ki jai. Yadatra skalitam kinchit vidhvam satpurayantu tatidat saustubham kinchit tadguru revamenahi. So if there are any wrongs or any errors in this presentation, those truly belong to me. And if there is something nice, those belong to Srila Prabhupada, his transcendental purports, his ecstatic purports, and also to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and many other preceptors in the Gaudiya Parampara. None of those wonderful glories belong to me. It all goes to the Parampara. Hare Krishna. Open to questions, comments, feedback, critiques for the next 15 minutes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Extremely wonderful class. Thank you so much. Like always, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Anybody has any question?
तो महाभाव को कैसे डिफाइन करेंगे या
So Mahabhav is exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that bhav is described as the bhav of Srimati Radharani, where everything that it of course is not describable by words, it's beyond me for me to describe, but it is understood that the highest stage of separation, where every single thing that you look at gives you remembrance of Krishna, that you have loving relationship with Krishna, and you feel intense longing separation from Krishna, and due to which sometimes the body shrinks, the body elongates, it shrinks, there's tears flowing as rivers from your eyes, and there are these 8 symptoms are shown repeatedly without any specific set pattern. More details are there in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. We can refer that. All, or in simple terms, all the ecstatic symptoms that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt while watching the Rath Yatra and also hearing the transcendental divine pastimes of Brahmananda Rai from his lotus mouth, those are mentioned. Those are the glimpses that we get to see the characteristics.
Prabhu, the 11th canto which have the Uddhav Gita, it means that has happened prior to this.
Yes. That is Uddhava, that has happened prior to this. So, the Bhagavatam does not follow a chronological order. In the sense, the pastime, it is multi-narration across multi-dimension, multi-universes, multi-yugas as narrations. Right? It's Purana. Bhagavata Purana. Purana means Pura api navam iti Puranam. The old happenings across different yugas are re-spoken for the new age by Sutta Goswami, Shukdev Goswami. Hence it is called as Purana. Whereas Itihasa, how it happened, that is being narrated, which will be largely chronological, which is Mahabharata and Ramayana. So, Uddhav Gita, yes, it happened before, but as a conversation, we talk about it. For example, we today spoke about Matanga Rishi and Shabri. And towards the end of the class, we might speak about Lord Rama's birth. But if you look at chronology, there is no chronology to this, because Lord Rama's birth came first and Matanga Rishi's chronology came later. Shabri's pastime came later. So, in conversations, sometimes chronology is not followed. And Bhagavatam is full of conversations. Does that make sense?
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, no questions. Thank you for your opportunity. Hare Krishna. Back to you, Subal Prabhu.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Look forward to your class in the next week also. Thanks a lot
Sure.
for your
Thank you.
always a wonderful lecture.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya
Kalpatarubhyasya,
कृपा सिंधु भैवच पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Thank
Krishna.
you.